Okay, so let's get started. So you'll see now in the previous video we created the start new game click procedure, but I'll just show you how I did that again. I double clicked on T main menu and I double clicked on start new game, and I can do this for any of these menu options. So I'm going to do it for start new game because that's where we need to be today, and I can close that. So here I am. The very first thing that I want to show you though before we start programming is just some code that I have here. I've gone ahead and I've created some variables for you. Okay, now these variables in order of need is the guess word, which is the word that's going to be guessed by the user. So in our example, for the purposes of the next couple of videos, it's going to be Alabama. Then save word is a backup of the guess word that we'll need for step 8. We're actually going to amend that in a second. Then we also have the suser guess, which is the user's character guess. So the guess that the user makes. And then there's the dash word, which is the string of dashes that we'll need for step 2. So we're going to be dealing with guess word and dash word today. We'll come back to all of this code over here. Don't worry about that. That's a future lesson. And let's just start off plain and simple by making a decision. The user, or let's say if you were playing a game of Hangman, the very first thing that you would need to do, if we look at our steps, if we come over here and we take a look at the PAT document over here, the very first step that we take is that player A, which is going to be the computer, selects a guessing word. Okay, and then player A draws an underscore for every letter in the guessing word, and that's what we're doing now. So the first thing we're going to do is select a guessing word, and like I said, we're going to use guess word for that, and we're going to set that equals to Alabama. Okay, and that's going to be the word that we're going to be using to guess our it's just going to make things easier if we know what the word is that we're trying to guess. We're not going to write code just yet to do a random selection of a word. That will come later when we can write code for the computer to pick a random word from a text file. So now that we're here, the next thing that we need to do, according to our gameplay steps, is that we need to draw an underscore for every letter in the guessing word. So the variable that we're going to use for this is going to be s-word. Okay, and we're going to start off by setting s-word to be equals to blank. Okay, now the reason why we're doing this is because we're starting a new game. So there's a possibility that later on, if we want to start a new game, that the dash word variable, which is again going to contain a string of dashes. So if our word is Alabama, then our dash word will be A-B-A-M-A, 7 dashes to represent Alabama. And then this dash word is going to be what's reflected in the label of your game, specifically label 2. This will be put here. And then when we make a guess, it will then go and it will say, okay, so say we guess L, it will then change that specific character to be an L. And if we guess a B, then this one over here is the B, and that will change to a B. And then, of course, if we guess A's, then it will start doing all of the A's in Alabama. And then, no, wait, there we go. And etc. Okay, you get the idea. So we'll clear that for now. Let's just start by asking ourselves, how would you break down the steps of building up a dash word? Because remember, we have a couple of things that we know. We know what our guess word is, okay? And we know that our guess word is going to be the same number of characters as our dash word, right? And we know that the computer or the user or anybody who was playing the Hangman and was selecting the guessing word would draw each dash by dash. So if, like, we said, okay, so the word's going to be Alabama, and now I've got to write the dashes, I would say, okay, A-L-A-B-A-M-A. There we go. Now we've got the right amount of dashes. So what you can see we're doing here is we're actually repeating an action 7 times. 7 times because 7 is the length of Alabama. Okay, the word Alabama is 7 characters long, therefore we would need 7 dashes. So what we're doing is repeating the action of adding a dash 7 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're going to be using a loop because we're repeating an action. And the question I have for you, if you just want to think about it quickly, is which loop would you use in this situation? Would you use a while loop that repeats based on some condition, or would you use a for loop that repeats for a specific number of times? Well, I would use a for loop because we know what our length is. Okay, we know that we can get the length using our string function length of the guessed word, and then we can put that as the upper limit of our for loops that we run in the range of 1 to the length of Alabama. So let's do that. Remember, whenever you do a for loop, you just type for and then space, and then it will do the rest for you. Okay, now once you're here, you can change the I if you want, but we're going to keep it as I. I'm going to press tab to go to low, and I'm going to put my lower limit, or the start of my loop, at 1, because I'm going to start from the first character. And when I press tab, it takes me to high, and then I can put in what my range is going to be, my upper range of this for loop. And like I said, my upper range is based on how many characters are in S guessword. So therefore, I'm just going to put the length of S guessword. Okay. Now, that length of S guessword, normally what we would do, okay, is we would create an ileng, and then would set ileng to be the length of S guessword, and then would put ileng inside of that, where we have put that length S guessword. Now, I've decided to skip that step because, you know, we're getting good at programming now. We don't have to declare a variable for everything. We know that if it's going to go in one place, we can just put it in that one place. So now just when you're done, you can hit enter, and it should create this variable section for you with this var I colon integer. However, if you clicked off your for loop at any point, it won't have created for you, and then you'll have to manually create it or delete your for loop and start again. But once you've created the for loop, we'll press enter, and we'll do our begin and our end, because remember, every for loop, every if statement, every while loop, every procedure always has a begin and an end. And we're going to start programming inside of our begin and our end for whatever we want to repeat this length times, from 1 to length, in other words, the length of guessword times, so 7 times. And like I said, what we're doing there is if we have a blank string, this S dash word, and we're going to add dashes to it to represent the number of characters inside of Alabama, then what we would do is one at a time draw a dash. We would draw one dash, draw another dash, draw another dash, another, etc., till we get to 7 dashes. Now we already know that we're going to be repeating that action, but the question is, how are we going to actually write code to do that? And the answer is, if you don't want to pause and think about it, is that we're going to be just adding a dash to dash word the same way that we have with the running total so many times throughout our Delphi learning up until this point. So we're just going to use a running total, but a string running total, where we're going to say, okay, S dash, oops, my caps is on, S dash word is set equals to S dash word plus a dash. So what we're doing here is, remember, all a variable is a place in memory. Okay, and when we start this for loop, that place in memory is blank, because we already set it. We start by setting it to be blank when we write this line. Okay, so we know that S dash word is blank when we get here. Okay, so what we're doing is we're saying S dash word set equals to, so the variable set it equals to whatever that variable is currently plus a dash. So it adds a dash to a blank string. Let me show you. I'll write it over here. So here we have the blank string, and in our first loop, it just adds a dash to that string. Okay, so we're joining that dash with the blank string. Then we leave our for loop, we come back in, we repeat the second action now for I equaling 2. And remember, we're not using I in this for loop, we're just using this for loop to repeat something a bunch of times. So here we are again, S dash word C equals to S dash word plus dash, so we know that S dash word currently is this. Okay, S dash word is currently this now, it is a single dash. And what we're doing is we're going to now add another dash to dash word. Okay, sorry about that. And then we'll repeat the for loop, and we'll add another dash to dash word. And then we repeat in the for loop, and we add another dash to dash word until we get to 7 dashes. The for loop ends, and we have S dash word set equals to, or equaling, a string of dashes. And then all we have to do here is set label 2 dot caption to be equals to s dash word. So now we've just put the dash word that we just built into label2.caption, which is where we see it on the form. And if you see here, you can see that there is, oh, hang on, wait, I've got to send this form back. I've got to send it to the back. Sorry, this t image component. I didn't mention this earlier in the previous video, but this is a t image component. We'll come back to it. So I'm just going to send it to the back. And there you go. You can see over there label 2. Label 2 is what we're going to be updating. So if we run this program now, hopefully what should work, assuming we haven't made any silly mistakes, is when we click play game and we click game, start new game, it sets it to be 7 characters. Go back and see that if you missed it, but it started as 5 dashes and now it's 7 dashes to represent Alabama. So that's the first part of our program working. We've successfully drawn a dash for every character in Dashword. So if I take a look now at my steps over here, we've done player A selects a guessing word and player A draws an underscore for every letter in the guessing word. Fantastic. Now step 3, player A draws some picture to represent player B's remaining guesses. We're going to get there. For now, we're just focusing on getting the basic gameplay functionality down, and then we'll do all of our graphic stuff. So in the next video, we're going to be discussing if the guess letter is a character in the guessing word, then player A is going to fill the position of the letter into the appropriate position of the underscore. So in this version over here, when we click game and we have this new game here, if I click L, if I guess L and I press enter, ideally what we want is the character representing the L to change from a dash to an L the same way that it would in any game of Hangman, and that's what we're going to be tackling in the next video. Just doing it for one character first, and then once we've got it successfully working for one character, we'll look at how we can do it for more than one character. See you there.